Novak Djokovic, the Australian Open, the Australian government. I have one question to ask each of you. What are we doing here? The entire situation unfolding in Melbourne right now is entirely preventable. And no, this has nothing to do with COVID-19 or vaccines. This is all about dumb and/or entitled people doing dumb and/or entitled things. As the Kaiser Chiefs once mused, this is the modern way, I suppose. Let's make one thing perfectly clear before we continue. Either get vaccinated or deal with the consequences that come with not getting the shot. This is the same principle as eating your vegetables when you were a child. You may not have liked them, but they were good for you. And forcing them down meant you got dessert. In the case of Novak Djokovic, dessert is playing in the Australian Open and vegetables are getting the COVID-19 vaccine. Unfortunately, the Serb wanted to have his cake and eat it too, which has landed him in some obvious hot water. Honestly, this wouldn't even be a thing if anyone involved in the situation had a modicum of intelligence. Alas, the stupidity of modern times has prevailed, and there were three distinct people we need to ask, what are we doing here? The first person we're asking this question to is Novak Djokovic's team. Seriously, what are we doing here? As someone who has lived overseas for nearly a decade and traveled the world for much longer, I have never once applied for the wrong visa or left before confidently knowing I would be allowed to enter the country I was heading to. And this was done without the help of others. Djokovic is paying his team a lot of money to make sure these things are taken care of ahead of time. Yet somehow, someone in this group applied for the wrong type of visa? His team totally botched this. And here's the deal. Even if they were trying to falsify information, at least be certain you're doing so for the right visa. Especially when traveling to a country like Australia, which isn't exactly keen on immigrants in the first place. Secondly, Australia, what are you doing here? Why does the country have any exemptions for unvaccinated non-residents to begin with? There's no need for it. Allowing non-vaccinated Australian passport holders to return is one thing. But letting foreign tennis players who were approved by an independent medical board enter the country is utterly pointless. Creating this loophole was always going to be problematic, and lo and behold, we have a massive problem. Finally, Novak Djokovic, what are we doing here, dude? Seriously, just come out and tell people if you have a legitimate reason to not be vaccinated against COVID-19. There are only two reasons as to why the tennis star refuses to do this. He either A, doesn't have a good excuse to not get the vaccine, or B, his excuse is so embarrassing, like maybe it would react adversely with his pubic lice medication, that he doesn't want it going public. Whatever the case may be, it is way too late in the game for him to save face. The tennis star either needs to own it or move the fuck on. Anyway, that does it for me, the proudly vaccinated and eligible to participate in the Australian Open, Cheyenne Hollis, for the Touchback. And until next time, be sure you hashtag take it out to the 25.